Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Sugatsune JSA-180S stainless steel self-closing hinge. This is what it looks like. I have one here removed, ready to look at. Solid stainless steel. Obviously a long, narrow hinge, and it is a spring hinge, is the bottom line. Now, I have the top tension pin removed so that we can freely view this. And what we're going to do is take some measurements is what we're going to do. Let's get the tape measure and check what these dimensions are. Okay, here we go. Now everything is in both metric and imperial dimensions. I forget the proper term for our system of measurements. 3 1/8 is the width, 80 millimeter. The height of the hinge leaf is 7 1/16. Yeah, that's accurate as well. The leaf thickness is not given that I can see, but the caliper will tell us what it is. 0.123 inch. 0.123. Okay. You can see from the swag on the hinge leaf there that this is a full mortise hinge, and it's meant to be mortised flush to the edge of the door and frame when the leaves are brought parallel together. What you're going to get, and these hinges are sold per hinge. They're packed 2 in a box, but they're sold per hinge. Important to know that. You're going to get a fastener package, and inside of there will be a couple of additional tension pins, but they are already installed when you get the hinge. And let's go over that now. There is, first of all, a description below this video showing or describing the hinge. Spring-loaded for self-closing, adjustable spring tension. Past 500,000 cycles, that makes it a grade 2 hinge. Full mortise, type 304 stainless. It's indeed stainless steel with a satin finish on it. Capacity of the hinge, if your door is up to 88 pounds, 2 hinges. If it's 132 pounds, go with all 3. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Okay. Now, setting of the tension. When the hinge arrives to you, it will have tension already set on it, and which is okay. And we're going to show that to you right here. I'm going to set the tension back in this hinge. Now, I've got this tension back in this hinge, and it's literally spring-loaded. You really can't pull it apart with your fingers. I suppose if you stuck something in there and you damaged the hinge face, you could know that it's open, but it's under spring tension right now. There's no question. So what you'll want to do is determine what side is up. It's completely non-handed and does not matter. In order to work with the hinge, you're going to want to remove the tension from the top here, and remove that pin. And you can do that by simply rotating it counterclockwise. And really all you do is just turn that enough where you can pull the pin out. All you're really doing is loosening the pin, because what happens is, and that tension collar that I just pulled out, and it fits into the spring mechanism, those holes are tension holes, and that's where that pin is going to fit into. Okay? And as you rotate it, you set tension on the spring, you insert a tension pin into a hole, 1, 2, or 3 holes, 3 holes maximum, is how you set the tension. And that is done by a counterclockwise rotation of the tension plug. Counterclockwise is the important thing to know. So if I had this upside down or at the bottom, that plug would literally fall out. So treat that as the top, the loose part. Leave the tension down in the bottom so you don't lose the rest of the apparatus. Okay? Your hinge is now not under tension. You can do your mortising, you can do your pre-drilling, and then you can attach the hinge with the provided screws. Okay? Then, once the door is hung, you will insert your your Allen wrench counterclockwise, and as I turn it counterclockwise, I can demonstrate how you'll see those holes. See that? See how the holes appear disappear, appear, disappear, appear. Okay, and as you set that tension, you're just going to insert a tension pin. Insert the tension pin. Going to put it back so that we don't have our hinge assembly come apart on us. And at that point, you're done. It's just really that simple. Because it's a European style hinge, it will have unusual dimensions, at least atypical dimensions compared to typical domestically manufactured or domestically owned companies. There's a link below this video to a document called Installation Instructions, which are included, and it's really in the spirit of European style material, where it's a lot less words and a lot more pictures, and you get the concept there. Mortise, attach, well, pre-drill, I would say, number 2. Number 3, attach. Number 4 is set your tension. On the back side, it has the usage gauge for 3 different hinges. The S180 is the one that or the 180S is what we're looking at. You can see how the 2 or 3 hinges go with the kilogram rating or the pound rating, as we discussed earlier. But take note in the fact that when you see the 3 hinges, look at where those 2 hinges are at the top. Very common if you've been to Europe. They've got 2 hinges up at the top and 1 down at the bottom. And quite frankly, I am in thorough agreement with that being the proper way to locate hinges, especially spring hinges. But the truth of the matter is you're doing so much work at the top of the door of just hanging the door that you need to compensate for the fact that a spring hinge is not really a load-bearing hinge. And you have to throw an additional hinge up at the top to assist in the fact that what would be preferred is a spring hinge in the middle, then the bottom, and lastly at the top. Okay, but if you're going to go with 2 spring hinges, you got to have 1 at the top. And if your door gets heavier, you got to have 3 spring hinges just to do the self-closing. But they want you to stick it at the top because the spring hinge is not a load-bearing hinge. It's not rated for that sort of weight, because all the weight of the door is pulling down that bottom hinge the most. You'll see that sort of wear evidenced if you ever go into like a bathroom door in a restaurant. Look at the 3 hinges and look at the wear pattern of each. Surely you'll see the wear pattern most obvious on that top hinge. Anyway, so setting the tension is pretty simple. 3 holes maximum. I'm a fan of all three spring hinges because it will allow you better control over the door. It will allow you a situation where you have reserve spring power on tap, so to speak. When the door opens, it's storing that energy in the springs of the spring hinges, and when you let the door go, it releases the energy. But at the critical last 10 degree of the closing cycle, you want there to be enough stored energy to get the door to latch without it slamming by means of setting so much tension that the door is just really slamming closed on inertia alone. Spring hinges aren't a way to control a door at all. That's hydraulic control would be preferred. Surface closers, overhead concealed, floor closers. But spring hinges are very common, and they are very appropriate in lots of instances. The client who's getting these has a coastal residence where it's on the ocean, and stainless steel is the call of the application. They want to get as much lifespan as they can out of the hinge, and stainless base is it. And when you're looking at stainless steel spring hinges, the options become very limited. So this client opted for Sugatsune based on a prior positive working relationship with their hardware. So I prefer more spring hinges than less, so that you can at least have a better chance of getting the door closed. If your door is very light, 60 pounds, you can't argue for 3 spring hinges because you're well within the range of 2 is the bottom line. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page on our website where you can pull up all the Sugatsune products that we sell, number 1. Number 2, a link to the manufacturer's website. Number 3, a link to the manufacturer's product catalog. And if you're in the construction industry, I know for sure that sooner or later you will come across the name Sugatsune, however it's pronounced. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it incorrect anyway. But sooner or later you're going to find it on plans. And having access to that product catalog may someday just make your life easy, because at least you'll be able to identify it and then know what you're asking for. If you have any questions on the Sugatsune, they're part number JSA-180S, stainless steel spring hinge, or any other Sugatsune product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.